meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There is a copy of the Open Meetings Act that is posted there on the wall for the meeting room. I'd like to note that all council members are present except for Councilman Eskra and Councilman McLean. First tonight, I'm very proud to read a proclamation for the World Down Syndrome Day. Whereas Down syndrome is a genetic anomaly caused by an extra copy of the 21st chromosome. According to current data, about 250,000 people in the United States have Down syndrome. Studies have shown that about 1 in 800 babies are born with Down syndrome each year. And whereas the date 321 has come to represent 3 copies of chromosome 21 and has developed into a movement to celebrate the value people with Down syndrome around the world. And whereas this year's World Down Syndrome Day theme is End the Stereotypes, because stereotypes can cause significant harm to the quality of life for people living with Down syndrome. And whereas stereotypes can lead to the public treating people with Down syndrome differently than other people, underestimating their abilities, excluding them from important opportunities, and sometimes even resulting in abusive behaviors. And whereas Beatrice supports and celebrates the initiatives of organizations working to ensure people with Down syndrome have adequate services, are valued by the society, and can lead fulfilling and productive lives in our community. Therefore, I, Robert Morgan, Mayor of the City of Beatrice, Nebraska, do hereby proclaim March 21st, 2024 as World Down Syndrome Day. In the City of Beatrice, I encourage all citizens to use this occasion to commit to ending the stereotypes that are so harmful to the Down syndrome community. Witness my hand of the official seal, City of Beatrice, on the 18th day of March, 2024. Now I've got a plaque and we'll present that. Probably get a few pictures. Hold it. Okay. Good deal. Good deal. All right.
One more.
Okay.
Just a second.
Good deal.
Sorry, Holly.
All right. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank
But we were very glad that you're here today. And thank you so much.
How
are you?
Yeah.
All right. All right. And thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time to read.
No problem. Okay, the consent agenda tonight. All items under the consent agenda are considered to be the routine by the City Council, will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests. Item A, approve agenda as submitted. Item B, receive and place on file all notices pertaining to this meeting. Item C, receive and place on file all materials having any bearing on this meeting. Item D, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on March 4th, 2024, as on file with the City Clerk's office. Item E, approval of the Treasurer's report of claims in the amount of $1,111,236.47. Item F, approval of the Boswell report of claims in the amount of $62,605.61. Approval of write-off of bad debts is G. H, approval of day request number 17 to 3FI Incorporated in the amount of $120,000 for the fire department for the June 2022 hailstorm. Item I, approval of special designated license for Stone Hollow Brewing Company for a luncheon on April 20th, 2024 from 11 to 3 at Kayla Savory Bites and Sifted Sweets, 512 Court Street, Beatrice, Nebraska. Item J, resolution number 7246, granting Joseph Bilsbach and his designees permission to serve alcohol beverages upon the city property located at the West Scott Street Ball Fields on Saturday, June 22nd, 2024, from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. as part of the Solstice Gravel Grinder. Item K, resolution number 7247, granting KWBE and its designees permission to serve alcohol beverages and to sell or offer for sale or peddle of goods, wares, or merchandise upon the city property located at Charles Park and the Carnegie Building on Friday, June 14th, 2024, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. as part of their 75th anniversary event. Item L, resolution number 7248, reappointing Robert Moran to the Beatrice Board of Public Works. Item M, resolution number 7249, entering into the hangar lease with Bradley Keller for the purpose of leasing hangar C7 located at the Beatrice Municipal Airport. Item N, resolution number 7250, entering into a hangar lease with Joe Ed Robinson for the purpose of leasing hangar B1 located at the Beatrice Municipal Airport. Resolution number 7251, entering into a hangar lease with CB Flying LLC for the purpose of leasing hangar B4 located at the Beatrice Municipal Airport. Item P, resolution number 7252, entering into a hangar lease with Fabry Mechanical Incorporated for the purpose of leasing hangar D6 and hangar D7 located at the Beatrice Municipal Airport. Item Q, resolution number 7253, revising the tobacco use policy for the city of Beatrice employees and buildings and vehicles owned by the city. Item R, resolution number 7254, entering into the statement of work agreement between the city and Civic Plus LLC for continued codification and supplementation of city ordinances. And that is the consent agenda. Any council member want anything pulled off? Yes.
Just please, I'd like a clarification of how long those leases are for all the airports. I don't want to really pull it off.
You have a question on?
What are these leases for the airport hangars all a year lease?
Yes.
Okay, that's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else want anything? Nobody wants to pull anything up? Okay. Mr. Fairbanks.
I move that all the items under the consent agenda be approved, accepted, and ratified as presented.
Second.
Gentlemen, your vote, please. And that passes 6-0. Tonight we'll have a public hearing. Public hearing is for the purpose of consideration amending section 305P of the zoning ordinance number 9413. As such, ordinance relates to the hospital facilities. That meeting is now open.
So the Beatrice Community Hospital approached the city. What they're wanting to do is build basically a new building out that one of their lots that they own for storage. They've got a number of different items they want to put into that medical type items they want to put in storage. However, under our current zoning rules, they're zoned O for office, and storage is not allowed in O zoning or office zoning, and so they can't build it. What we're proposing is that you modify the definition of hospital to include ancillary services that they may need, such as some storage. We looked at some different ways to try to do this as a campus type setting. Some of them, other communities I looked at got very formal and very robust on how they defined this. This seemed like a better way to handle it in our particular case here. So that's what we're proposing, is you change the definition of hospital to allow them to also have some ancillary services that they might need to go along with the medical services they're providing. Planning and zoning heard this earlier tonight. They recommended approval of it, so we brought it before you. Same location. Same location, yes. So the hospital has their building and they own a number of lots around their building as well.
That's out north at the current hospital.
Correct.
And go ahead.
Will this apply, I'm just kind of looking down the road to see if somebody else might.
If you're asking,
You are just
correct.
specifically using the hospital.
Correct.
We're not gonna have some business come down later and say, well, you did it out there.
Correct. So if your question, I'm assuming your question is, hey, if I have a piece of ground that's zoned office
can I go put a storage unit on it? No, you're not allowed to. You have to be a hospital, which requires you to provide those type of medical services.
It's gonna be written in there for hospital.
Correct, that's why we're only changing the
I
definition of
just didn't want to
hospital.
get on the slippery slope.
Anybody from the public? Seeing none, let's close the hearing.
Mayor, I move that the public hearing be closed at 7:11 PM.
Second.
Your vote, please. And the hearing is now closed. Okay, move on to resolutions. Resolution number 7255, executing amendment number 2 to the agreement dated October 13, 2021 between the city and Alfred Benish and Company to supplement and update the original stamped issued for bid documents issued by Benish on January 25th, 2023, and to reduce the geotechnical investigation services for the Natchez Municipal Airport Reconstruct Taxiway C and Apron Project. Mr. Fairbanks?
Let's see, where are we at? I move that resolution 7255 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Thanks for nudging me, Bob.
Not a problem.
You gotta pay attention, I see, don't you?
I know.
I understand.
So this is the taxiway project that the airport's been working on for a little while now. Remember, kind of got pushed back as the transition occurred, but we're moving forward with this particular project. Benish has been the engineers at the airport for decades. They've had a good relationship out there, no reason to change that one. This particular project, or this change order, if you will, what they're looking to do is change the scope of Benish's work. So it increases their design by about $8,300, but at the same time, it decreases the geotechnical work they need to do by about $3,800. They're still looking to bid this project out this summer, this summer, with construction starting in 2025. It's kind of the time frame that we're on right now as we line up funding for this particular project.
In completion of 25.
Yes,
Okay.
I think construction would be completed in 25, yes.
Any questions or any discussion by anybody, public or up here? Seeing none, your vote, please. And that passes 6-0 as well. The next resolution is number 7256 to de-designate a portion of redevelopment areas number 4 and 5 as blighted and substandard.
Mayor, I move that resolution 7256 be passed and adopted.
Second.
As we talked about a number of times, the state law allows us to go up to about 35% of our community being designated as blight and substandard. That's the determination, that's the terminology that the state has saddled us with when it comes to tax increment financing. When looking forward, as we look to annex the Schwarzkopf property, which tonight will take a second reading on, but assuming that goes through here in the next couple of weeks, and assuming that you ultimately move forward with blighting the school sites, that would be Paddock, Lincoln, and Stoddard school sites. Cedar's already considered blight and substandard, it's already in a redevelopment area. But assuming those things all move forward, we will exceed the 35% that's allowed by state law. So what we're proposing tonight is that we remove about 66.1 acres out of being designated as blight and substandard, making TIF no longer available to those locations. The kind of areas that we're looking at are largely kind of two different areas. One is out by the hospital. So the hospital owns a number of lots around them today. The hospital does not pay property taxes. So they cannot use tax increment financing. So it doesn't make sense to designate their areas as blight substandard if they simply can't use it. The other area we're looking at is largely around Indian Creek by where the old Starcraft site is at, not that site, but some other ground around there. It's all in the floodway. So it's not developable because of your other zoning rules and regulations that you have. So we're proposing we take those particular parcels out of this, get us back, like I said, about 66 acres in ground. Once, assuming Schwarzkopf is annexed, assuming you approve the school sites, and assuming you approve this, at the end of that, we'll be at 33.91%.
And bearing in mind that designating an area as blight and substandard and is adjacent to your property that you own does not make your property either blighted or substandard. This is just terminology.
For the third time.
I say it every time we do it, Terry.
Any other discussion needed from the public? Seeing none, your vote please. And that passes 6-0. Item C, resolution number 7257, executing the agreement for professional services retaining JEO to develop a master plan for the development of land at Paddock Elementary, Paddock Main Elementary, and Lincoln Elementary are currently located upon.
Mayor, I move that the resolution 7257 be passed and adopted.
Second.
I think everybody's familiar with the agreement that we have with Goshen Public Schools regarding the school sites. We're trying to look forward, make sure that we're ready for redeveloping those sites as they become city property. So one of those things we talked about doing is having a master plan done, and we're looking at Paddock Lane site and Lincoln School site. And so we issued an RFP here a couple months ago. We got back 4 responses. Snyder Associates, Clark Anderson, Riga Engineering, Olson's, and JEO. The committee then sat down, looked at those responses that we had, went back and asked follow-up questions to make sure we were comparing apples to apples and that type of stuff. And ultimately, the committee's recommendation is that we select JEO as the firm that we move forward with to do the master plan. Their contract before you tonight says they'll be done by September 13th of 2024, and the cost would be not to exceed $50,000. What this plan will then do is it'll have a layout of lots, blocks, utilities, where should they put water mains, where should streets be extended, all that will be included in this recreational facilities, how that all ties into those particular sites. So then when the city does acquire them, we can start working on replanning process and utility extensions, and all those other things that will come with it as we look to develop those particular parcels.
Just a question, the other contractors or developers that presented the plans and stuff, I mean, were they really similar? I mean, what was the difference in them since, you know, the whole council didn't get to see those?
So some of them did not have any public input. JEO does, and Olson's both had public input. They want to make sure we got to talk to the public, had some of those. Some of them did not include cost estimates for utility extensions. Some of them had what looked to be maybe a little more cookie cutter layout plans without taking into consideration the environment around them. We wanted them to address stormwater to make sure that was at least addressed. Some did, some didn't. And prices ranged accordingly. Some were going to give you just a bare bones drawn on a napkin, here's what it looks like, and really cheap. And some were going to give you some beautiful pictures when you're done. And so we landed somewhere in between those two.
Probably, if you looked at the two that rose to the top, were Olson's and JEO. At the end of the day, one of the things that we always look at is what we feel is the best plan at the lowest dollar. And so JEO came in, oh goodness, $15,000 or $20,000 lower, I would guess, somewhere around there. And so based on those recommendations, they rose to the top.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Didn't the highest bid, correct me if I'm wrong, actually include things we didn't need?
Yeah, they had a few extra meetings in there, so that's where we went back to them and said, how many meetings are you actually programming in here? So we then could say, okay, well, if I just want one meeting or I want 2 meetings, what's your price then? And so we could, again, compare them without just assuming that you're going to give me a Cadillac and somebody else is going to be something a little different, and then, yeah.
So, public meetings, really important, especially in dealing with this, and you're changing the look of the neighborhoods. So is the intention to have one meeting for each or one meeting for both sides?
One meeting for both sides.
Just so everybody knows that we know and that they're gonna get one shot at it, so.
Discussion from the public. Seeing none, your vote please. Passes 6-0. Item D, resolution number 7258, executing any and all necessary documents to release and discharge Midwest Housing Initiative Incorporated regarding the forgiveness amount for their LB 840 economic development loan.
Mayor, I move that resolution 7258 be passed and adopted.
Second.
In 2023, the city council entered into a loan agreement for $12,500 with Midwest Housing Initiatives. They were to build a senior living duplex and up around 10th and Arthur Street, the old hospital site. The agreement called for the loan to be forgiven if they completed construction of that duplex by February 28th of 2025. They received their certificate of occupancy last week from our community development department, so they were completed with the project in time. And so Midwest Housing Initiatives has satisfied all the terms and conditions of the agreement. And so tonight, what we're proposing to you is that we release the loan and all the collateral in this particular loan agreement.
Quick question here. By doing this, we're saying that, if I understand right, they don't have to pay back the loan.
That's the terms of the loan, yes. They've satisfied all their terms.
Is this something that, the standard that we have done in the past and things where basically, forgiving a loan, so we're giving them money to help them build the property?
We have a couple of different loans out there over the years where we've had conditions that if the developer or the company met those requirements, part or all of the loan was forgiven. Yes, we've done that before.
Some of that doesn't, Mayor, depend on the project, the kind of property, and there's all kinds of variations is why we make different loans to different people.
That is correct. If you remember, LB 840 is a loan or an assistance process to bring in new industry and new housing and help grow the city of Beatrice. So depending on what that project is, how much it might be, and what it will do for the community, it can range from a forgivable loan to a forgivable partial loan, or for them to repay it 100% back. So it's done at the time that the negotiations are done, as the developers are working with the city, and a contract is approved by the city council. In this case, that one was probably approved, I don't know, a number of years ago. And so they have fulfilled their part of the deal, and so are we.
And then went to the committee
Yeah, it was in the LB 40, the CARC, and
and then to the council.
Correct.
Yeah. And T, can you broaden that just a little bit? How many of those things have we been involved with there?
how many of the units?
Duplexes, yeah, units.
So we originally had an agreement. So we originally had an agreement with Midwest Housing Initiatives, and they've gone by a couple different names. Sometimes it's Excel Development, sometimes Corridor Estates. It depends on how the funding works. But we have assisted with all of these senior living duplexes that have been built out there. So there's 4 on the north side. There's 5, 6. I think this is the 7th unit out there, and we've assisted in all 7 of those. They also have built, I believe, 6 single-family residents out there. We participated in all those to some degree or another, whether it's tax agreement financing or LB 40 or some utility extensions. So we've been involved in different mechanisms on all of those.
It's a way bigger project than it sounds like here.
Yes.
And all those involvements you're talking about were not all forgivable loans.
No.
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a part of a much bigger project.
Right.
Well, another thing with this, you've got those empty lots out there. If we help these developers, they put houses on there, and those houses generate a tax base for us. That puts, instead of an empty lot, we've got a house with a tax base on it. And so that's always good for us.
Discussion from the public. Seeing none, your vote please. And that passed 6-0. Item E, resolution number 7259, executing any and all documents necessary to effectuate the extension of term of grant agreement number 21 DTR 004 to May 25, 2024.
Mayor, I move that resolution 7259 be passed and adopted.
Sir.
So this is for our 2021 downtown revitalization grants. We are getting close to the end. We are supposed to be everything wrapped up by April 25th of this year. We still have some projects that we're working on. We have about 4 that are hanging out there right now that either still have work to be done or just have paperwork to turn in. And so What we're asking for tonight is that you guys approve a request to the Department of Economic Development for a 30-day extension. So it gives us into May to help make sure we just wrap up those last projects and we're able to utilize all of the dollars that we were granted in this particular grant.
Any discussion needed? If not, your vote, please. That passes 6-0. Ends our resolutions for tonight. We do have one ordinance. Ordinance number 24-9. This will be the second reading only on the proposed annexation of property owned by the city, commonly referred to as the Schwarzkopf property located adjacent to the Gage County Industrial Park, Gage County Partial ID number 004144800.
Mayor, I move that said ordinance number 24-9 be read by title only for the second time tonight.
Second.
Discussion needed?
Again, this is the annexation of the Schwarzkopf property, which is the new industrial ground that the city purchased in December. It's located out by the industrial park and to the north and to the west, just outside the industrial park. We've already rezoned it for general industrial. We've already declared it to be part of the industrial park. This is kind of just the next phase, if you will, is the annexation. Again, annexation requires reading at 3 separate meetings. This is the second one. We've received no comments down City Hall for or against this particular annexation.
Discussion. I just know too that the TIF increment financing and the LBA 40 are both tools that we've used for an extended period of time to bring industry to the industrial park. And so hand in hand, those definitely will help us continue to grow.
And TIF is only available if you're inside the city limits.
Correct.
So if we keep it outside the city limits, we cannot use TIF to bring any industries to that particular site.
Discussion from the public. Seeing none, your vote please. And that passes 6-0. An ordinance to extend the boundaries and include within the corporate limits of and to annex to the city of Beatrice, Nebraska, a parcel of land owned by the city of Beatrice, Nebraska Municipal Corporation, which is adjacent, contiguous, and located in or near the city of Beatrice, Gage County, Nebraska, to provide service benefits thereto, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and to provide for publication in pamphlet form and effective date of this ordinance. Okay. Item 6, public forum. This purpose of the public forum is for the presentation of any item by the general public to the city council for consideration at a later date. No discussion or action will be taken by the city council at this time. Is anyone here for the public forum?
Hi, I'm Marty Merkel. I live at 7001 West Aspen Road, Claytonia, Nebraska. And this is, say your name. I'll do it for you. This is Holly. She lives here in Beatrice, and I asked her not to share her address.
That's fine. Absolutely understand.
We don't want to take a lot of your time, but we want to for sure say thank you for the recognition and the proclamation that you did earlier. Sometimes we get asked, why do you want to do this at a city council meeting or a county board meeting or whatever? And so I always want to take advantage of the opportunity to share a little bit of educational points to do with Down syndrome. And so a couple things just to share tonight, and maybe all of you already know this, but it's relatively new to me. Some people ask, why is blue and green your colors that you use for recognizing that? And the reason they use blue and green, it has to do with the genetic testing. There's always a color associated with the genetics. And so blue and green happen to be the colors they use when they do the testing to find out if an individual has Down syndrome. The other thing that I was going to mention, you'll see around town, you'll see some of these posters. So we're not only advocating when we come to a city council meeting or to a county board meeting like we'll do later in the week, but I guess when you're out and about, if you see a sign, maybe comment to the manager or the store owner or whatever, just let them know that you're seeing it. There's several that have been handed out here in Beatrice and throughout Gage County. So we just want to make sure that we recognize it.
Rock our socks.
And we rock our socks, which brings up another thing. Why the socks? Why crazy socks on the 21st. If you look at the shape of the sock, it's kind of like the shape of the jean. And that's where the sock came from. Why the crazy colors, I don't have the answer for that. But, trying to educate myself as we go along, because again, why do we do it at these public forums and stuff like this? You know, when we're educating leaders in the community, they're educating other people in the community, and it just ends up having a snowball effect. And so we just get more education out there. Plus, we have media and places like this. So, I mean, if I went to the coffee shop and shared with my neighbors, they already know everything. Sure.
Coffee.
She likes coffee. So anyway, those are just a couple of little tidbits of information. There's a lot of research being done, and there's even been some researchers comment that by studying and doing more research with people with Down syndrome, that they feel like at some point they'll discover what's causing like dementia and Alzheimer's. And because that's fairly common with folks who have Down syndrome. And so, I mean, when you think about it, we may all get affected by stuff that we learn from the people with Down syndrome. So there's another plus, the reason we want them in our communities. Other than that, we mainly wanted to say thank you for taking the time to do what you did. It's not taken lightly. I know it doesn't take an hour of your time, but it still takes some time, and it takes an effort to actually do it. So we do appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, and thank you, and it's really one of our pleasurable things that we do here, so we appreciate it.
I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here for the public forum? Seeing none, we will move into discussions and reports. First one, we have Beatrice Police Department 2023 annual report. We have the Director of the Police with us, Jay Murphy. Welcome, Jay.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Jim Murphy, Police Director. I'm assuming all of you have a copy of the annual report, is that correct?
It's available to us.
Okay.
We're having a little problem with our laptops.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
Aaron's not here.
Wow, he threw you right under the bus.
All right, Mayor Morgan, Mr. Tippmeyer, members of the City Council, I first want to tell you how appreciative I am of the confidence that you have in me to head the department. Set you a little bit at ease. I have confidence in myself to do this, although there are a few learning curves, which I'm trying to navigate, but we'll get there. As I mentioned earlier in my report, wow, 2023 has been rough. We've lost 5 officers, our chief of police, 2 communications officers. We had 1 officer on deployment for 11 months, and we had 1 officer that was on light duty for several months. So needless to say, it was a struggle for all of our employees, and they worked long and extra hours and really stepped up to the plate. So I'm really proud of everybody there to keep the ship afloat. So far, we've hired 4 new officers, 1 communications officer, and we're working on hiring 2 officers as we speak. We look forward to 2023, or 2024, putting 2023 in our rearview mirror, hopefully, and going to move on from there. Down to the meat of the report. Beatrice Police Department currently has 21 certified officers. That consists of 2 administrative officers, 4 patrol sergeants, 11 road patrol officers, 2 school resource officers, 1 investigator, and 1 juvenile services officer. We have 2 canines, Toro and Thomas, 13 communications officers, which includes our communications director, 1 victim assistance coordinator, 1 police information and systems coordinator, and 1 part-time records employee. Police department consists of 9 patrol units, and 2 of these units are specially equipped for the canine. 5 unmarked units, 1 mobile command bus, and 1 special response vehicle. Our 911 center, also known as Southeast Communication Center, dispatches for 23 different agencies in Gage County, City of Crete, Crete Fire and Rescue, and Richardson County Sheriff's Office. They're staffed 24/7, as the police officers are as well. Southeast Communications handled a total of just over 40,000 calls in 2023, compared to around 38,700 in 2022. It's slightly, just about a 3% increase. And unfortunately, you don't have your reports with you, but once you get a chance to look at them, you'll see the huge increases in 911 hang-up calls. The reason for this is because towards the end of 2022, beginning in 2023, some new technology came out, such as some of the smartwatches, some of the Ring doorbells, and so forth, that automatically dial 911 for you. And so there were a few flaws in that, towards the beginning of 2023, which increased our 911 hang-up calls. As for the police department, we responded to 11,765 calls for service. That's pretty close to our total in 2022, which was 11,502. Again, a little bit of increase in the 911 calls due to the facts that I just mentioned. Arrests for the year totaled 580, which was just slightly down from 653 arrests. And I'm contributing that to moving our drug investigator to the road. So we have a few less drug arrests than we had in the prior year. Of these 580 arrests, 249 were physically taken into custody. Criminal Investigations Unit handled 581 calls on their own and assisted with 455 calls from the Road Patrol. It's normal procedure for the Road Patrol to pass on calls to investigations if they're going to be long into the investigation, and it kind of frees up the Road Patrol to allow them to take extra calls as they come in. In addition to investigations, the unit also assists in background checks, liquor license applications, handgun background applications, and solicitor backgrounds. We're also the liaison for the Crime Stoppers. Our canine unit consists of 2 canines, which had a total of 20 deployments in 2023. Our 1 canine, Thomas, and Officer Tim Price, they just finished their training in October 2023. So they don't have a whole lot of stats, but they did add to the 20 deployments. Both dogs had a total of 26 training sessions during the 2023 year. Our school resource officers, both in the middle school and in the high school, had a total of 127 cases during the year. That is a 20% increase from 2022. In addition to all this, we also house and supervise the Gage County Victims Assistance Coordinator. This program served 1,037 victims in 2023, increased over the 2022 total of 782, so quite a big increase. This program is very important to our agency as well as our law enforcement agencies in the county, as it takes a large burden off the police officers themselves, keeping victims updated on the status of their cases and so forth. Other programs within our department are the crime scene team. We have a drone program, a speaker service program, a special response team, and a variety of community events. All these extra duties are taken up by the officers who, are dedicated to the city, and they want to take that extra step and take on these secondary duties. So we applaud them for that. That about sums it up for my 2023 report. I'm willing to take any questions if you have them right now. Yeah.
That resource officers, what was the number on that again that they I'm sorry, I didn't get it written down.
They worked 122, let's see, 127 cases during the year. Both school resource
What does
officers.
that usually tell kids?
A lot of it is unfortunately, it's a variety, but I would say the majority of it is smoking, tobacco products, things like that.
Jay, I think I can speak for all of us and the community in saying how proud we are of the police department that we have here. We know that what went on last year, not everybody does, so I appreciate you pointing that out. And we know how they stepped up there, so please pass on everybody's well wishes and thank them for the time that they spent doing that, okay? And I don't think you need to, thank you for thanking us for the confidence we put in you, but if we didn't have the confidence in you, you wouldn't be sitting here, okay? And you have a very solid history with the police department that all of us are very familiar with. So we appreciate all that background, and at least for me, I want to wish you the best getting over these little humps and your learning curve that you're going through right now. You'll get over that very quickly, I'm sure, and get it completely under control. So
Thank you, appreciate
you
it.
bet.
I got one question for Jay. SWAT, sorry, a little frog here tonight. Swatting calls. It's kind of been in the national news, the uptick of it. I'm assuming that you've got some, since we're a smaller community, Lincoln had a few of them last year, and they were all to profile people, like the mayor. And so I'm just a little curious, your protocol on that. I mean, if we're a small town, it's not like you send everybody.
Right.
You have to know that it's probably.
No, and just to, not give everything away, I guess, but when that first came out, we did have a meeting with the schools, and we set up a protocol with them as to how we would handle that if certain calls came out to the schools.
I guess the only thing I would add is we have our deep thanks too for everybody who stuck through thick and thin in 2023. At least in my opinion, I definitely have 100% confidence in you, as well as all the officers that you have on your force. So thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
For that. All right, thanks.
Thank you,
Good
guys.
report. Item B is our city administrator's monthly report.
Well, I guess I'll share some highlights since nobody had access to it. Erin says she's got that fixed now, so hopefully check it out. Let me know if you don't have access to it.
Aaron's not here.
I know, my text her.
Oh, technology.
So first off, Dempsters, we did make 2 applications to the state of Nebraska for some funding to help us tear down 2 different buildings out of Dempsters. I don't know when we'll hear back on those particular grant applications. The way they were written, villages and second-class cities got the first bite at the apple. If there's anything left over, then it goes to first-class cities. So we did make 2 different applications. We'll just kind of wait to see what comes of those. The landfill, we will probably look to have a Boswell meeting next month. We've got some things going on at Boswell. As you guys all know, we're moving forward with the construction of a new landfill. And so one thing we will have is we'll have the task orders coming forward from the engineering, Burns and Mac, for bidding and construction oversight, all those things. We'll have those coming up to you soon. Additionally, we need some work done on Southwest 32nd Road. This is the road that goes south into what will be the new landfill's currently C&D site. We've got it out for bids right now, but we're going to asphalt that particular road due to the amount of truck traffic it's going to get moving forward. And so the street department's going to do some of the work, but laying the actual asphalt, we need to hire out. And so that's why we've got it out for bid. But we will bring to you a reimbursement resolution, which basically says that Boswell is going to pay for that up front. But when we issue bonds for construction, we may reimburse ourselves for the cost of doing that road if and when we decide to do that particular. We may not reimburse it, but if we do, we have the ability to.
How far,
About a quarter mile. It'd be down to the entrance of the new landfill.
all right, thank you.
I think he's gonna do it 6-8.
That would be a James question. I don't know. I didn't look at the specs themselves, but they will make sure that it is thick enough to handle the what we know is going to be heavy truck traffic going in there. And then the last thing I want to point out to you is the lead and copper rule. We talked about it probably some years ago, you guys have all been so worrying about that. I know, making sure we got our stuff filed on time. The water department got all their surveys done. And so we had to go out and survey all the houses in town to find if they had lead service lines. We did our survey. We don't have any, but as any good federal rule out there, right, we still have to develop a plan. So we are in the middle of writing that plan to replace lines that we don't have, but we'll bring that to you here shortly for approval. So we're working on that one right now as well.
You want me to write that for you? I'll make it a one-liner.
So back to the Boswell just a little bit. So we're not gonna affect anyone sitting here, but we're gonna close this landfill, we're gonna open the south one. When the south one reaches the end of its lifespan, and we have to close it, can you reopen the north one then if we have settlement, or if we want to, if rules and regulations change, we want to add to more, because we talked about this in the past, about adding more height to the one that we presently have. And since we didn't do it because of the cost, because we already own the one on the south. And like I said, it's not going to affect anybody sitting here. None of us are going to live that long, but that's my question.
Short answer is yes.
Okay.
So first off, the south side of the road, the new landfill, has got approximately 70 years of life in it. So yes, we've got some time. But on the north side, we have seen settling in cells, I think it was 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, the first one.
So we are able to go back. We've never officially closed them yet. We're able to go back in and add additional rubbish, trash to the top of those, and then cap it permanently. So it might depend whether or not we officially close them or don't close them. So you may see the north side remain open technically for a while, just to give you that opportunity.
I'm kind of looking at her. I don't think anybody here is going to be here at the 70-year span either, but you never know.
Those three ladies.
There's a field plan on it there.
Yeah, write that, put it on your calendar.
I want to go back to Rich's question, because I think it's important, because I know James is a smart guy, but we also got to consider the fact that the agricultural side of it with the semis and the tractors coming across there, that so we replacing that stuff every 18 months. So I'm sure he'll think it out.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know the specs myself, but I got trust in James that he'll design it and make sure that he takes into account the heavy truck traffic that we know will go across it.
Yeah.
I have two really quick things. Let's see, March 7th, we had a meeting in the southeast neighborhood on the 13th Beaver Oak project that's coming out. And I wanted to thank you, T, for being there. You didn't have to be there, so thank you for being there. Gary, thank you for being there. Let's see, both Bob and Eric Tiemann were there. I want to thank those guys for being there, and especially James, because our city engineer put that whole thing together and did a really good job. I have not got one phone call, and I'm guessing, but we did 25-ish or so. Maybe that's a third of the houses we got there or something that are affected. So that tells me that they did a pretty good job. So I appreciate all the effort that was done there. Okay. Secondly, real quick, so we had a little turnover in the mayor's prayer breakfast that we should at least comment on. Derek, can you talk about what you know there since you've been in contact with that?
Well, I know, had a little turmoil for about 6 days now, but we moved past that, and we've got another speaker. It's going to be Dr. Jeff Gold from the University of Nebraska at Omaha Medical Center, and he's going to come and talk to us. Rob Schaefer got that hooked up for me, so I understand he's a good guy. Bob knows him, and Ted knows him, and Rob assured me he'll do a fine job. So that's what we did, is a change of plans. It wasn't our doing, but we get lemons, you make lemonade, right?
Well, I thought you were taking me down to A&M.
Love for you to go.
At any rate, that's where that's at.
Bob, before we wrap up, I did want to make sure that I announced to everybody that we have another open house coming. So in case you enjoy coming to meetings, April 11th from 4 to 6, we are having our Safe Streets for All grant having that open house. So remember, the State Streets for All grant is a grant that we got through the federal government to look at road safety for both vehicle traffic and for pedestrian traffic. We're having our first meeting, open house, if you will, for the public to attend Thursday, April 11th from 4 to 6 at the library. We will be sure to get this out through all of our social media content and talk to the press here, but we wanted, what day, Thursday? How big is it?
Right.
That particular grant was a $250,000 grant. You have to have the action plan done in order to come back and apply for implementation grants, is what you got to line up for the next time.
Before you fold your box on your report, the other grant that we just got for the trees.
Yeah, so we got another grant, this one from, I'm trying to remember what the name of it was, but yeah, the Inflation Reduction Act had in it a provision in there for basically trees. We applied in January of 2023. We received notification last week on Friday that we were awarded $144,000 for trees in our community. We have until the end of 25, I think September 30th of 2025 to get everything done and planted and buttoned up. The few things in there we might look at that we had in our initial proposal was a tree inventory. We looked at putting some of those different plans in place. And then the state also was awarded another $10 million that they'll put out as competitive bids or projects, grants, if you will, for additional tree funding type of activities. And so we'll look to see when those come out. I've signed up for those already, those notifications, and we'll take a run at those as they become available.
Great project.
All right. Mr. Fairbanks, can we have a motion to adjourn?
If there's nothing else, Mayor, I move that the meeting be adjourned at 7:52 p.m.
Sorry. Your vote, please. Thank you all for coming.
Great job, Jay.
Yeah.
Good job, man. Watch. All right.
Oh, I don't know.